What's going on, everybody? Well, back again. Guess what it is? It is actually time to do the December fishing tip. And this December fishing tip is presented to you by Trade. It's sponsoring this video, so thank you so much for Trade. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But yes, December fishing tip is upon us, guys. And we're going to talk about the best lures to catch fish in December. You know, we've been doing this for quite a while now, and the response has been overwhelming. So thank you so much for all the comments, all the likes, and again, all the shares on these videos, because I'll be honest with you, when the enjoyment I get knowing that some of these fishing tips, not all of them, help you catch more fish, that makes me feel good. And for me, that's really the reason I do a lot of these videos, right? I mean, I've been doing this for so long, and if I can help you catch a few extra fish along the way, put a smile on your face, that's just truly awesome for me. So, you know, we've been diving deep into these fishing tips, and I think it's good to do that, because every month these fish are kind of, you know, it's different, depends where you're at in the country, but every month these fish are transitioning, and I think these tips are giving people an idea of what to be kind of thinking about and looking for, and of course some baits to use. And so we're going to dive deep into that. We're also going to dive into who won last month's free mystery tackle boxes, okay? We had 4 winners from this last month's video. We're going to reveal those here in just a minute. And we're also going to talk about how to win these 4 mystery tackle boxes at the end of this video. So before we dive into all those things, we're going to dive into a little bit about coffee, right? This is the time of the year, guys, that I actually start drinking a lot of coffee. I'm not a big coffee drinker in the summertime, but I love it when the temperature starts to change, when those fall temperatures start to drop and that winter starts dropping in. So I'm excited about bringing this coffee on the road with me on the tour season this year. So we're going to be, you know, doing a lot of different tournaments, and so I'm going to be kind of supporting the whole team SMC with some coffee this year. So here's the deal, guys. Coffee selection, it's super limited at the grocery stores. And so what's the solution? Well, Trade, it connects you with the best coffee from the nation's top roasters that you can't find in the store. Okay, so these are some of my favorite ones right here. My favorite one actually so far has been Huck. It's more of a traditional blend. I like the Huck. I'm kind of a traditional guy. I don't like the real strong coffees personally, but this one here is very, very good. This one right here is Amsterdam, and it's a really rich and smooth coffee. My wife actually loves this one a lot. This one is brewed in Brazil. We just got back from Brazil on that Amazon trip, which we're doing the videos right now. I cannot wait for you guys to see our adventures through the lenses of those cameras, because we captured some pretty amazing stuff. I'm talking like trekking through the jungle and all this craziness. So this one comes straight from Brazil, from a small roaster, New York City and Colorado, Denver, Colorado, matter of fact. So that's what's really cool. And again, you can set the frequency of when these coffees show up to your house each month. You can set them to show up right on time, so they're always fresh. As a matter of fact, these are all brewed within 24 hours of them shipping out to your house. So that's even better. So you're getting super fresh coffee, guys. So with Trade, guys, you can discover new coffees from the nation's best local roasters. And Trade matches you with your own personal selection of coffee and ships them straight to you from the roaster at their peak freshness, okay? So look, it's real simple. All you have to do is take the quiz. You answer questions about how you like your coffee, and Trade will curate the matches just for you. Step 2, they show up right to your door. You can choose a delivery time and when they're going to show up, and it'll appear right at your doorstep. Again, delivered right at peak freshness, so you'll never run out of coffee. And then step number 3 is just rate your matches so Trade can continue to delight you with coffees that you love. It's real simple, guys. With Trade, you can avoid the grocery stores and never run out of coffee again. Guys, for the coffee lover in your life, give them a gift of better coffee this holiday season with a personalized gift of coffee from Trade. Trade guarantees you're going to love the first coffee, but if you don't, they will ship you out a different bag for free, so no risk there. So here's the deal. My viewers will get $15 off on their first 3 bags when they sign up. Just take the quiz by clicking the link in my description box. Free shipping is also included, and give the gift of better coffee this holiday season with a coffee gift from Trade. So guys, check it out. Good coffee. Everybody loves good coffee, right? So I can't wait to take this on the road, and I also can't wait to talk about these fishing tips right here. So let's jump right into it. Well, I figured we'd come outside and talk a little fishing. The weather's starting to change. I get to put on sweatshirts now, and down here in Florida, temperature hasn't gotten too cold yet, but it's starting to get that little bit of winter blast. So it does feel good, to be honest with you. You know, every video you hear me talk about the deck system. Love the deck system. Of course, I've had it in the back of my truck now for 5 years. Keeps everything good and organized. Also, big shout out, huge shout out to Lear. Lear Caps is one on the back of my truck here. super high quality cap, keeps everything safe and secure, and then my Lear locker, which I love. So huge shout out to those guys for providing me with some pretty cool equipment here for my truck. But again, let's talk fishing. Here's a couple tips for December. You know, December's an interesting month for me. It's when it's kind of like cold everywhere. Like, I mean, again, I'm here in South Florida and it's not getting cold, too cold yet, but again, I just put on a sweatshirt, so the temperature's starting to fall. But most of the places in the country, by December, you're dealing with pretty low water temperatures. You're probably dealing with water temperatures, depending on where you are in the country, all the way down to probably in the high 30s. You know, maybe some places are even starting to freeze over. If that's the case, these fishing tips aren't going to do you much good. They're going to bounce across the ice. But for those of you that still have water, your water temperatures are probably getting pretty cool. And what happens in December, we talked about the lakes turning over a little bit in November, and that's a big deal. That's when the oxygen gets a little weird, because the cooler water on the surface finally sinks down below the water that's down below, and that kind of rotates up, and it does that whole sensation called lake turning over. In December, the water temperature gets cold, and typically you have a bait fish die off. When that temperature starts to get really, really chilly, the bait fish, usually that has a high abundance of bait fish during the fall, will start to die off. You'll start to have what you call a shad kill. And when the shad kill starts to happen, that's when those fish become very tricky to catch for a couple of reasons. One is they're just used to eating that easy meal, that bait fish dying and kind of falling through the water column, and they just pick them up. And B, there's just lots of bait, right? So you're competing against a lot of food out there. But some of the baits that I keep it pretty simple in December, guys. If I'm fishing the middle part of the country, I got 2 or 3 baits that I'm gonna really focus on. Let's get right into them. All right, the first baits here are ones, in my opinion, that you can catch a lot of fish. As a matter of fact, again, December is that time of the year where that bait's dying, it's falling through the water column, and sometimes those bass will not react to anything. Literally, they have free meal coming to them. So you have to get in their face. You have to get down there. You gotta get right in their face with these spoons, and that reaction bite will play a big role in catching these fish. And these spoons right here, there's 3 different sizes. I've got a bigger Lake Fork spoon right here. I don't use that one unless I was on a lake that had bigger shad. So typically I'm gonna be throwing these 2 sizes here. This is your regular Hopkins spoon, and a small little spoon here. This is a 1/2 ounce and probably a 3/4 ounce. I don't know what size that is, but it looks like a 3/4. And it's a good size spoon. And well, here's the 2 ways I like to fish the spoon. Number 1, I'm gonna rig it up on a real simple rod. I'm gonna rig it up on a 7-foot favorite rod. This is a Rush Series, medium action, 12-pound line, occasionally 10, but mostly 12. And that's it. That's pretty much it on both these spoons. Pretty much the same setup. I'm not gonna do much casting. So you don't wanna worry about casting these things out real far. Everything you're gonna do with these spoons is pretty much vertical or slightly vertical, meaning pitch it out in front of the boat maybe 30, 40 feet, pendulum it down, or target those fish on the Panoptix live scope, which is awesome, okay? So if you have live scope on your boat, you can really do some damage with these spoons. So again, the 2 ways. Number 1 way is I'm trolling it along, I'm looking for fish on my 2D sonar. I'm looking on my Garmin, I see the fish on my graph, they're under the boat, say they're 25, 30, 40 feet of water, whatever it may be. I'm gonna literally push the button on the reel, let the spoon go right down to them, go past them, and I'm gonna hop it up in front of them, maybe 2 hops, boom, boom, and let it fall. Boom, boom, let it fall. You'll see your spoon, it gives a real good return on the graphs. You'll see your spoon on your depth finder. You'll see the fish, and keep hopping that spoon up in front of their face, up and down. And again, it's not they're trying to eat it because they're hungry. It's aggressive, it's in their face, it's going right by them. You're gonna keep hopping it. And when you get that bite, again, it wasn't that the fish swam over and ate your spoon. It was that eventually your spoon got right in front of that fish's face. So being accurate with your depth finder, being accurate with your position right here, and keep working it in front of him, that's how you get those bites. They always bite it on the fall, guys, so be ready. As it falls back down, you'll feel them thump it, or you'll go to lift up again and one's on it. And it's a really, really great way of catching a lot of fish on those tough bites. The other way that I like to fish the spoon is using the Garmin Live Scope. I'll find the fish, suspended or whatever, out in front of the boat, 30, 40 feet, maybe 25, 30 feet, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna pitch it out there, let that spoon fall down past them, and I'm gonna hop it up through the fish. And I'm gonna keep working it through that school of fish away from the boat, so I'm not on top of them. Matter of fact, I did that exact approach at Rayburn Lake in Texas, Sam Rayburn, in the opens 2 years ago. And it wasn't real cold, but the fish were finicky. They were out deep. Me and Andrew Upshaw used a Garmin Live Scope on this one area. We kept finding them out there, little schools, and pitching that spoon out there and hopping it up in front of them. And it was really like the only thing that we could get them to bite. You could throw a drop shot, you wouldn't get bit. You could throw a jig, you wouldn't get bit. It had to be a spoon. And again, it was that reaction bite. So guys, a spoon like this is absolutely deadly, no matter if you're catching largemouth, smallmouth, or spotted bass. This is a must-have in December. Let's move on to the next one. All right, the other bait is real similar to the spoon, and it is a tailspin. It's a very traditional lure here. This style lure has been around forever. This is one here that I actually used this one at Cherokee last year, 2 years ago actually. And you look at some of the original ones, like that's a Little George right there. And you notice how there's no hook on this thing. And there is a hook on this one, but check this out. This is what makes this so good. These tailspins are literally just slide up and down the line. You just tie the treble hook on, and that holds it there. It's these tailspins are nice because they're heavy. It's kind of like the spoon. It gets down to where the fish are quickly, gets in their face, and this blade spins, adds a little vibration, a little flash. And again, it's that reaction bite. Again, they're not chasing it down, but it's like in their face. It's real fast. The vibration, the flash, the whole 9 yards, they bite it. And when they do, the great thing about this bait, when they do bite onto it and they come up and jump, this will slide away from the hook. So this hook's the only thing connected to the bass. This will slide around, so you don't lose a lot of them. You will lose a good many fish on these spoons, because this spoon right here, that hook is connected to that 3/4 ounce lead. And a lot of times when those fish come up and jump, if they're aggressive with their jump and aggressive with their shake, they're gonna throw that. So this bait right here, I lose less fish on these tailspins. And again, this is I believe this one here is a 1/2 ounce, that you can get them all the way up to 1 ounce, but a 1/2 ounce is a nice size. It gets down there, and it's a little slower fall than say a spoon, because that blade is actually giving a little resistance, a little vibration. So I like it a lot. Again, I caught a lot of fish at Cherokee 2 years ago in the fall on this bait right here, the smallmouth out deep. That was like the only thing I could get those fish to react to, was that tail spin on that spot. You could throw a drop shot, you could throw all these other things, never would get a bite. The tail spin is absolutely a must-have in the month of December. And again, light line, 12-pound line. You don't want heavy stuff. You can throw them on a spinning rod if you want to, or if you have a smaller one, that'll work just as well. But you know, whites, your silvers, your shad patterns, that's pretty much the way to go on that, and it's a deadly bait. Now, let's move on to our third choice. We're back to the jerkbait. You're saying to yourself, well, didn't I just talk about a jerkbait last month? Well, I did, but there's something else I want to add to this jerkbait. Well, like in October and November, I'll pretty much grab a jerkbait and throw it the way it comes out of a package. But in December, I'm going to do something different to it. And what I'll do is I want to add a little weight to the jerkbait. Okay, these are suspending. This is a Guggen Baits Scout. It's a great little jerkbait. Caught a lot of fish on this bait, but it suspends. It's a true suspending bait. Most suspending baits will slightly float. Okay, so if you put like any jerkbait, a Megabass, a Lucky Craft, one of these, it's still, even though they say suspending, it slightly floats. But in December, because that bait a lot of times is dying and falling through the water column slowly, I'll add bigger hooks to my baits. And what that does is it makes this bait sink. I don't want it to sink fast. I just want it to sink slowly. And you'll have to play around with it, okay? Every jerkbait's a little different. So you can do one of two things. You can add hooks to it, a little bit in the next size up, which should add some weight. And sometimes I won't add all big hooks. I might add a bigger hook here on the front, or a bigger hook here. I'll balance it out to make it fall. This is something you're gonna have to go down to the water, you're gonna have to get in your boat, you're gonna have to play around with it and keep adjusting it, because you don't want the bait to fall backwards like this. You don't want it to fall straight like this either. You want it to fall like this, straight down, like it's a dying bait fish. Because when you jerk that jerkbait along and it's real erratic and letting it sit, as I let it sit, it jerks, and then it just slowly falls. And what happens is, it looks like it's a bait fish that's at its last little bit of life, right? It's going, it's trying to like survive, but it can't. It's those last couple kicks before it dies, and it sinks off into the abyss. And those bass come up, and real lethargically will come up and just grab that thing. And it's a way to catch fish in the winter on a jerkbait bite when everyone else, when their jerkbaits are floating, they don't catch them. Like, it's the falling jerkbait, sinking jerkbait pattern. So keep that. That's a really deep tip for you. I'm being honest with you guys. Play around with it. You can also put, they make the little lead suspend strips. You can put those here. Usually I'll put one here and one here. Again, I just want that jerkbait to sink a little bit. Not fast, just a little bit. The other thing, the other advantage to it sinking is you can get that jerk bait down a little bit deeper, because I'm doing long pauses. I'm gonna throw it out there, I'm gonna reel it down, get it down 6-8 feet, start jerking it, let it sit for maybe 10-15 seconds at times, and it's falling, you know, real slow. And so every time I jerk it, it's getting a little deeper. You're able to get these jerk baits sometimes down 15 feet deep, and it's that slow fall at 15 feet deep is irresistible to a bass. So guys, that right there is a darn good way of catching them. Now the last bait, I'm gonna jump into this one right here because it's right here in front of me. Spy baits came on the scene probably, I don't know, 6 years ago here in the States, maybe longer. And I'm gonna throw that bait right there. I'm gonna throw it on a bait caster, this big one, throw it on 10 or 12 pound line. This is a bait you 100% cannot throw on heavy line, because part of the action of this bait is the little slight wobble it gives as it's reeling through the water column. It's wobbling like this in the water. Heavy line will prevent that bait from wobbling. It will just come through the water straight, and you lose that little wobble action. And that's what really drives those fish crazy, that thing slightly flashing in the water. These little spinners right here on the front of the spy bait and on the back kind of equalize the bait, make it neutral as it progresses through the water. I'm gonna throw it on a bait caster or a spinning reel, and I'm gonna reel it slow. Slow is the key. You can throw it out there, you can let it sink down to the proper depth that you think those fish are at, typically a little bit above them, and reel it down through the water column and just steady retrieve and let those fish come up behind it real slow and grab onto this thing. But a spy bait is deadly. And again, that one right there you can throw in a bait caster, and the smaller ones that they have, the little shorter ones like that one, you could throw on a spinning reel. Just gets a little bit shorter, but these baits right here are awesome. I hope these baits will help you catch more fish in the month of December. They really, really work for me. I've caught a lot of fish doing these techniques, and that's what I love about these tips, providing you fishing tips that help you catch more fish. Now, I know you're wondering, who won last month? Well, last month for the November, we picked 4 people to win 4 mystery tackle boxes, and those winners are Daniel German, good job. Big Nick Fishing, Kenneth Goforth, and Hunter Fierro, okay? So those are the 4 winners from last month, November. We're gonna pick new winners for this month, so all you have to do is drop a comment down below. Let me know you'd love to try some of this tackle in these mystery tackle boxes. And that's it, guys. And again, also, be sure to check out Trade. The coffee's awesome. Be sure to check out the link in the description down below as well for that. And thank you, Trade, for sponsoring this video. And also, guys, let me know what your favorite baits for December are. Depending on where you're in the country, everybody's got a little bit of different choices of what they like. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite baits for December are. We'll talk to you later, guys. We'll see you. Bye!